Welcome to the YouTube channel, Contact Center Knowledge Hub, your one-stop solution for expert guidance, best practices, and actionable knowledge in the world of contact centers. Explore, learn, and enhance contact center skills. Let's discuss about most important calculative questions with detailed explanation of forecasting method, expert judgment. Alright, let's solve question 1. Expert override on a statistical forecast. Here's the scenario. Our quantitative forecasting model predicts next week call volume will be 52,000 calls. But there's an important business update. The experts are expecting a marketing and based on history, this type of campaign typically increases call volume by 12%. Calculate the expert judgment adjusted forecast. Think for a moment. And the answer is here. In this scenario, a quantitative forecasting model predicts next week's call volume of 52,000 calls. However, based on historical experience, experts expect a marketing campaign that typically increases volume by 12%. The forecast, we apply expert judgment using the standard formula. Adjusted forecast equals statistical forecast multiplied by 1 plus the expert adjustment percentage. Substituting the values. 52,000 multiplied by 1 plus 0.1. This simplifies to 52,000 multiplied by 1.12. When calculated, the expert judgment adjusted forecast equals 58,240 calls. This final number reflects a balanced forecast, combining statistical modeling with real-world business insight. Now let's solve question 2. Expert adjustment for system downtime. Here's the scenario. Yesterday, there was a system outage, and it created a backlog of 4,500 calls. The experts predict that 70% of this backlog will spill over into tomorrow. So, we already have a base statistical forecast for tomorrow, which is 18,000 calls. Calculate the final forecast. Think for a moment. So the goal is simple. We will calculate the spillover volume and then add it to the base forecast. Step 1. Calculate backlog spillover. Backlog spillover is equal to backlog times spillover percentage. Backlog is 4,500. Spillover percentage is 70% or 0.70. So, 4,500 times 0. 70 is equal to 3,150 calls. That means 3,150 calls are expected to carry into tomorrow. Calculate the final forecast. Final forecast is equal to base forecast plus spillover. Base forecast is 18,000. Spillover is 3,150. So, 18,000 plus 3,150 equals 2,150 calls. Final answer. The forecast for tomorrow becomes 21,150 calls. Key takeaway. Whenever there's downtime, you don't just forecast new demand, you also forecast the leftover demand that couldn't be handled earlier. Let's see question 3. Festival impact using expert judgment. In this scenario, the experts already know something important from prior years. During festival week, call volume typically increases by 20%. Now, the statistical model gives us the baseline. Weekly volume is 90,000 calls. Think for a moment. And the answer is here. In this scenario, experts know that festival weeks consistently increase call volume by 20%, based on prior year's data. The statistical forecasting model predicts a weekly call volume of 90,000 calls. To incorporate We use the adjustment formula. Adjusted volume equals statistical forecast multiplied by 1 plus the expert adjustment percentage. Substituting the values. 90,000 multiplied by 1 plus 0.20. This simplifies to 90,000 multiplied by 1.20. When calculated, the adjusted forecast equals 108,000 calls. This final forecast reflects the expected festival-driven demand surge, ensuring staffing and capacity plans are aligned with real-world conditions. Alright, let's move to question 4. Expert judgment for AHT change. Here's the scenario. Experts confirm that due to a policy change, the average handle time, or AHT, will increase by 15 seconds. We currently have forecasted volume 44,000 calls. Existing AHT is equal to 260 seconds. Calculate revised workload in hours. Think for a moment. And here is the answer. Step 1. Update the AHT. New AHT is equal to existing AHT plus increase. So, 260 seconds plus 15 seconds is equal to 275 seconds. That gives us a new 175 seconds. Step 2. Calculate the workload in hours. Use the standard workload formula. Workload in hours is equal to volume times AHT divided by 3600. Now plug in the values. Volume is 4000. New AHT is equal to 275 seconds. So, workload is equal to 44,000 times 275 divided by 3600. First, multiply. 44,000 times 75 equals 12,100,000 seconds. Now convert seconds to hours by dividing by 3600. 12,100,000 divided by 3600 equals 3,361. 11 hours. So this revised workload equals 3,361.11 hours. Key takeaway. Even if volume stays the same, a small AHT increase can create a large workload jump, which directly impacts staffing, scheduling, and service level planning. Now let's solve next question. Expert predicted deflection shift. Here's the scenario. Experts believe that chatbot optimization will deflect 8% of calls next month. Our base statistical forecast is 120,000 calls. Calculate the adjustment. Think for a moment. And the answer is here. Step 1. Calculate deflection volume. Deflection is equal to base forecast times deflection percent. Base forecast is 120,000. Deflection percent is 8% or 0.08. 120,000 times 0.08 is equal to 9,600 calls. That means 9,600 calls are expected to be diverted away from agents due to the chatbot. Step 2. Calculate the adjusted forecast. Forecast is equal to base forecast deflection. So, 120,000 9,600 is equal to 110,400 calls. Final answer. The adjusted forecast becomes 110,400 calls. Key takeaway. Deflection is a demand reduction lever. When self-service improves, your forecast must decrease because fewer contacts will reach live agents. Let's solve question 6. Intraday expert adjustment. Here's the scenario. By 12 p.m., the actual volumes are showing a 15% spike, and the reason is a billing issue. Now, the original full-day forecast for today was 30,000 calls. If the spike will continue for the entire day, meaning it's not just a short-term burst, it's a sustained uplift. Calculate the updated full-day forecast. Think for a moment. And the answer is here. In this scenario, by 12 p.m., actual call volumes show a 15% spike caused by a billing issue. The original full-day forecast for today was 30,000 calls. Experts believe this increase will continue for the rest of the day, so an amendment is required. To update the forecast, we apply the expert adjustment formula. Adjusted forecast equals original forecast multiplied by 1 plus the expert adjustment percentage. Substituting the values. 30,000 multiplied by 1.15. This simplifies to 30,000 multiplied by 1.15. When calculated, the updated full-day forecast equals 34,500 calls. This revised forecast allows operations teams to quickly realign staffing and response to real-time demand changes. Alright, let's solve question 7. Spillover logic with expert judgment. Here's the scenario. Today's forecast was 22,000 calls. But the actual volume came in at 28,000 calls. So first, identify the spike. So actual minus forecast. That is, 28,000 minus 22,000 equals 6,000 calls. Now, experts predict that 40% of this extra demand will spill over into tomorrow. We also have tomorrow's base statistical forecast, which is in calls. Calculate final forecast for tomorrow. Think for a moment. And here is the answer. So we'll do this in 2 steps. Calculate spillover volume. Add it to tomorrow's base forecast. Step 1. Calculate spillover. Spillover is equal to spike times spillover percentage. Spillover percentage is 40%, which is 0. So, 6,000 times 0. 40 is equal to 2,400 calls. That means 2,400 calls are expected to carry into tomorrow. Step 2. Calcast for tomorrow. Final forecast is equal to base forecast plus spillover. Base forecast is 26,000. Spillover is 2,400. So, 26,000 plus 2,400 equals 28,400 calls. Final answer. Tomorrow's expert judgment forecast becomes 28,400 calls. Key takeaway. Spillover logic helps you forecast not only new demand for tomorrow, but also unfinished demand from today's spike, which is critical for staffing and service level protection. Now let's solve question 8. Multi-factor expert adjustment. In this scenario, experts predict 3 impacts for next week. First, a 12% increase due to marketing. Second, a 5% reduction due to chatbot deflection. Third, increase due to a billing cycle shift. And our base statistical forecast is 100,000 calls. Calculate the final forecast. Think for a moment. Here is the answer. Because we have multiple factors, we will apply them sequentially, one after the other, to reflect how changes compound. Let's go step by step. Step 1. Apply the plus 12% marketing increase. Base forecast is 100. Increase factor is 1. So, 100,000 times 1. 12 is equal to 112,000 calls. Now we have a new working forecast of 112,000. Step 2. Apply the 5% chatbot deflection. A 5% reduction means we multiply by 0. So, 112,000 times 0. 95 is equal to 106,400 calls. Now the updated forecast becomes 106,400. Still the plus 3% billing cycle shift increase. A 3% increase means multiply by 1. So, 106,400 times 103 is equal to 109,592 calls. Final answer. The expert judgment final forecast is 109,592 calls. Key takeaway. When multiple drivers are in play, apply adjustments step by step so you capture the compounding effect, and your forecast reflects the real combined business impact. Let's solve question 9, using expert judgment to correct model bias. Here's the scenario. Based on historical performance, we've observed a consistent issue. During high season months, the model tends to underforecast by 6%. That means the statistical forecast than reality, so we need to apply a bias correction uplift. The statistical output given is 75,000 calls. Apply expert-based bias correction. Think for a moment. And the answer is here. In this scenario, historical analysis shows that the forecasting model underforecasts by 6% during high season months. The statistical model output for this period is 75,000 calls. To correct this systematic bias, expert adjustment using the standard formula. Corrected forecast equals statistical forecast multiplied by 1 plus the expert adjustment percentage. Substituting the values. 75,000 multiplied by 1 plus 0.06. This 75,000 multiplied by 1.06. When calculated, the expert corrected forecast equals 79,500 calls. This adjustment compensates for known model bias and helps ensure more accurate capacity planning during peak period. Now let's solve question 10, expert forecast using a comparable historical event. Here's the scenario. Last year, during a similar outage, we observed a clear pattern. Call volume increased by 18% for 3 days. For the upcoming outage, statistical model is forecasting 19,000 calls per day. But experts recommend that we use last year's observed pattern because it's a strong comparable event. Calculate adjusted daily forecast. Think for a moment. And the answer is here. In this scenario, experts look at a similar outage from last year, where call volume increased by 18% for 3 days. For the upcoming outage, the statistical forecasting model predicts 19,000 calls per day. Based on the compared pattern, experts recommend applying the same increase. To calculate the adjusted forecast, we use the standard formula. Adjusted forecast equals statistical forecast multiplied by 1 plus the expert adjustment percentage. Substituting the values. 19,000 multiplied by 1 plus 0.18. This simplifies to 19,000 multiplied by 1.18. When calculated, the adjusted daily forecast equals 22,420 calls per day. This approach ensures remain grounded in real historical behavior, improving planning accuracy during similar future events. Let's solve question 11, expert adjustment for cross-channel impact. Here's the scenario. Experts estimate that because of a WhatsApp channel expansion, about 10% of current voice calls will shift to WhatsApp. Our base voice forecast is 64,000. Calculate the adjusted voice forecast. Think for a moment. And here is the answer. We calculate how many calls will move away from voice and then reduce the voice forecast by that amount. Step 1. Calculate the shift volume, also called deflection from voice. Deflection is equal to base voice forecast times shift. Base voice forecast is 64,000. Shift percentage is 10%, which is 0.10. So, 64,000 times 0. 10 is equal to 6,400 calls. That means 6,400 expected to shift from voice to WhatsApp. Step 2. Calculate the adjusted voice forecast. Adjusted voice forecast is equal to base voice forecast deflection. So, 6,400 is equal to 57,600. Final answer. The expert judgment voice forecast is 57,600 calls. Key takeaway. Channel expansion doesn't always create new demand, sometimes it redistributes demand. So expert judgment helps you rebalance the channels to avoid overstaffing voice and understaffing digital. Now let's solve question 12, applying expert confidence level weighting. In this scenario, we don't want to fully replace the statistical model. Instead, we'll create a hybrid forecast using confidence-based weighting. Here are the inputs. Statist is 50,000 calls. Expert forecast is 55,000 calls. Experts assign 70% confidence to their own estimate and 30% confidence to the statistical model. Calculate the weighted forecast. Think for a moment. And here is the answer. So we use a weighted average formula. Weighted forecast is equal to expert weight times expert forecast plus model weight times statistical forecast. Now plug in the values. Expert weight is 0. Expert forecast is 55,000. Model weight is 0. 30 and statistical forecast is 50,000. So the calculation is 70 times 55,000 equals 38,500. And 30,000 equals 15,000. Now add them together. 38,500 plus 15,000 equals 53,500 calls. Final answer. The final hybrid forecast using expert judgment is 53,500 calls. Key takeaway. Confidence weighting is a best practice when both the model and experts have value. It blends data-driven forecasting with business reality in a controlled, transparent way. Let's see question 13. Expert predicted AHT reduction. Here's the scenario. Experts estimate that a new IVR solution will reduce average handle time, or AHT, by 18 seconds. Current inputs are volume is equal to AHT is equal to 240 seconds. Calculate new workload, hours. Think for a moment. And the answer is here. Our goal is to calculate the new workload in hours after the AHT improvement. Step 1. Calculate the new AHT. New AHT is equal to current AHT minus reduction. So, 240 seconds equals 222 seconds. Now the new AHT is 222 seconds. Step 2. Calculate workload in hours. Use the workload formula. Workload in hours is equal to volume times AHT divided by 30. Now plug in the updated AHT. Workload is equal to 30,000 times 222 divided by 3,600. First multiply. 30,000 times 222 equals 6,660,000 seconds. Now convert seconds to hours. 6,660,000 divided by 3,600 equals 1,850 hours. So the final answer is expert judgment workload equals 1,850 hours. Quickly compare that to the previous workload for context. Previously, workload was 30,000 times 240 divided by 3,600 is equal to 2,000 hours. So we moved from 2,000 hours down to 1,850 hours. Away. Even a small AHT reduction, like 18 seconds, creates a meaningful workload drop, which can reduce staffing needs, improve service levels, or free capacity for other work. Now let's solve question 14, multi-day spillover adjustment. Here's the scenario. On day 1, we had a backlog of 9,000 calls. Experts estimate a spillover pattern across the next 3 days. Day 2, 50% of day 1 over. Day 3, 30% of day 2 spills over. Day 4, 20% of day 3 spills over. Also, the base forecast for each day, day 2, day 3, and day 4, is 24,000 calls per day. Calculate forecasts for day 2, 3, and 4. Think for a moment. And the answer is here. We will calculate spillover day by day, then add it to the base forecast. Day 2 calculation. Day 2 spillover equals day 1 backlog multiplied by 50%. So, 9,000 times 0.50 is equal to 4,500 calls. Now add that spillover to the base forecast. 24,000 plus 4,500 equals 28,500 calls. So, day 2 expert judgment forecast is 28,500 calls. Day 3 calculation. Day 3 spillover is 30% of the day 2 spillover, not 30% of the original backlog. So, 4,500 times 0.30 is equal to 1,350 calls. Now add to the base forecast. 24,000 plus 1,350 equals 25,350 calls. So, day 3 expert judgment forecast is 25,350 calls. Day 4 calculation. Day 4 spillover is 20% of the day 3 spillover. So, 1,350 times 0.20 is equal to 270 calls. Now add to the base forecast. 24,000 plus 270 equals 24,270 calls. So, day 4 expert judgment forecast is 24,270 calls. Let's summarize the final expert judgment forecasts. Day 2 is equal to 28,500 calls. Day 3 is equal to 25,350 calls. Day 4 is equal to 24,270 calls. Key takeaway. This is a classic spillover decay curve. The backlog doesn't disappear in one day. It drains over multiple days. Forecasting it correctly protects staffing, prevents repeat backlogs, and stabilizes service levels. Let's solve question 15, expert adjustment for product issue impact. Here's the scenario. Experts expect a temporary surge in call volume because of a product issue. The surge is estimated at 25%, and it will last for 2 days. Per day is 21,000 calls. Calculate forecast for the next 2 days. Think for a moment. And the answer is here. In this scenario, Experts anticipate a temporary surge of 25% in call volume due to a product issue. This increase is expected to last for 2 days. The base forecast per day is 21,000 calls. To calculate forecast, we use the expert judgment formula. Increased volume equals base forecast multiplied by 1 plus the expert adjustment percentage. Substituting the values. 21,000 multiplied by 1 plus 0.25. This simplifies 21,000 multiplied by 1.25. When calculated, the adjusted forecast equals 26,250 calls per day. This adjusted volume should be planned for each of the next 2 days, ensuring adequate staffing and service levels during the product issue period. Now let's solve question 16, expert adjustment with negative event impact. Here's the scenario. Because of a holiday, experts predict call volume will drop across 2 days. The expected drops are: Day 1, 15% drop, Day 2, 5% drop. And the base forecasts are: Day 1 base forecast is equal to 40,000 calls. Day 2 base forecast is equal to 42,000 calls. Calculate adjusted forecasts. Think for a moment. And the answer is here. Since this is a reduction, we apply a downward multiplier. Remember, a 15% drop means we keep 85%, so we multiply by 0. A 5% drop means we keep 95%, so we multiply. Let's calculate both days. Day 1 calculation. Adjusted forecast is equal to 40,000 times 0. That equals 34,000 calls. So, Day 1 expert judgment forecast is 34,000 calls. Day 2 calculation. Adjusted forecast is equal to 42,000 times 0. That equals 39,900 calls. So, Day 2 expert judgment forecast is 39,900 calls. Final answers. Day 1 is equal to 34,000 calls. Day 2 is equal to 39,900 calls. Key takeaway. Negative event adjustments are just as important as surge adjustments. If you don't reduce the forecast for holidays, you risk overstaffing, higher cost, and lower occupancy. Let's solve question 17, confidence range forecasting. Here's the scenario. Experts estimate tomorrow's call volume will fall within a range between 18,000 and 22,000 calls. For operational planning, they recommend using the midpoint of this range, balanced, practical estimate when there's uncertainty. Calculate midpoint forecast. Think for a moment. And the answer is here. Use this simple formula. Midpoint is equal to lower bound plus upper bound divided by 2. Now plug in the values. Lower bound is 18,000. Upper bound is 22,000. So, midpoint is equal to 18,000 plus 22,000 divided by 2. First add. 18,000 plus 22,000 equals 40,000. Now divide by 2. 40,000 divided by 2 equals 20,000. Finally, the expert judgment midpoint forecast is 20,000 calls. Key takeaway. Range forecasting is useful when demand is uncertain, and the midpoint gives you a stable planning number while you monitor intraday performance and adjust if needed. Now let's solve question 18, expert override for partial impact duration. Here's the scenario. A social media issue is expected to increase traffic by 30%, but only for half the day. Our original full-day forecast is 32,000 calls. Calculate adjusted forecast. Think for a moment. And the answer is here. Because the impact is only for half the day, we should not apply 30% to the entire day. Instead, we calculate the base volume for half a day, apply the uplift to that portion, and then add it back to the full day forecast. Step 1. Calculate base volume. Half-day base volume is equal to full-day forecast divided by 2. So, 32,000 divided by 2 equals 16,000 calls. Step 2. Calculate the spike impact on that half-day volume. Spike impact day base volume times 30%. So, 16,000 times 0. 30 is equal to 4,800 calls. That means the partial day spike adds 4,800 extra calls. Step 3. Calculate the adjusted. Adjusted full day forecast is equal to original forecast plus spike impact. So, 32,000 plus 4,800 equals 36,800 calls. Final answer. The expert judgment forecast becomes 3,600 calls. Key takeaway. When an event only impacts part of the day, always adjust only that time window. It keeps your forecast realistic and prevents overstaffing. Let's solve question 19. Expert correction for double counting. This is an important one because it covers a common forecasting mistake, double counting. Here's the scenario. The model predicts a 9% increase due to the billing cycle. The market a 7% increase due to a campaign. If we simply add them, we'd say the total uplift is 16%. But experts point out something critical. These two events overlap by 40%, meaning part of the marketing impact is already included inside the billing cycle. So we can't take the full 7% on top. We must remove the overlapping portion. Base forecast is 70,000 calls. Calculate adjusted forecast. Think for a moment. And the answer is here. Now let's calculate the corrected uplift step by step. Step 1. Calculate the total raw impact. Raw impact is equal to 9% plus 7% equals 16%. Step 2. Calculate the overlap counted. Experts say overlap is 40% of the marketing uplift, which is the 7%. So, overlap is equal to 7% times 40%. Convert to decimals. 0.7 times 0. 40 is 0.28. That is 8% overlap, meaning 8% is overcounted. Step 3. Calculate the corrected net impact. Corrected net impact is equal to 16% to 8 to 13. Step 4. Apply the corrected impact to the base forecast. Adjusted forecast is equal to 70,000 times 1 plus 0. 132. That becomes 70,000 times 1. 2. Now multiply 70,000 times 1.13 to equals 79,240. Final answer. The expert judgment forecast is 79,240 calls. Key takeaway. Well, you must subtract the double counted portion, otherwise you inflate the forecast and risk overstaffing and cost spikes. Now let's solve question 20, expert input for event-based capacity planning. Here's the scenario. Experts expect two changes next week. First, a 12% increase in volume. Second, a 10% increase in HT. Base forecast is Volume is equal to 85,000 contacts. AHT is equal to 300 seconds. Calculate new workload in hours. Think for a moment. And the answer is here. Step 1. Adjust the volume. Use this formula. Adjusted volume is equal to base volume times 1 plus increase percent. So, 85,000 times 1. That equals 5,200 calls. So the new forecasted volume is 95,200 calls. Step 2. Adjust the HT. New HT is equal to base HT plus increase. So, 300 seconds plus 10 seconds, 110 seconds. New AHT becomes 310 seconds. Step 3. Calculate workload in hours. Use the workload formula. Workload hours is equal to volume times HT divided by 3600. Adjusted values. Workload is equal to 95,200 times 310 divided by 3,600. First multiply. 95,200 times 310 equals 29,512,000 seconds. Now convert seconds to hours. 29,512,000 divided by 3,600 equals 8,197. 78 hours. Rounded for planning, that is 8,198 hours. Answer. The expert judgment workload for next week is 8,198 hours. Key takeaway. When both volume and HT increase together, workload rises sharply, and this directly impacts staffing, schedules, overtime planning, and service level risk. Thanks for watching my YouTube channel, Contact Center Knowledge Hub. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights. See you in the next video.